image perusahaan, perlu strategic partners, menghadapi potensi sengketa dalam keluarga pemilik, butuh penerapan good corporate governance yang lebih baik, Go Public adalah solusinya. Mengapa Go Public? Dengan Go Public, Anda akan menikmati manfaat seperti akses pendanaan yang luas dari pasar modal, peningkatan image perusahaan, likuiditas dan valuasi saham yang menguntungkan bagi founder, peningkatan profesionalisme perusahaan, pertumbuhan dan kelangsungan usaha, peningkatan loyalitas karyawan, serta insentif pajak.
Reviewing self-vaccination scheme. Tower Bersama Infrastructure plans to issue bonds of $900 million. Hello, good evening viewers. Market Headlines is ready to provide you informations from business, economic and capital market sector. And as the pandemic is still ongoing, we will provide you the latest COVID-19 information. And please stay safe by taking some simple precautions such as physical distancing, wearing a mask, avoiding crowds, cleaning your hands and having less mobility. And with me, Fajar Wayong, this is Market Headline. Let's open up Market Headline. The government is reviewing a plan to accelerate vaccination through self-vaccination scheme next year. Finance Minister Sri Mulyani ensured that the self-vaccination scheme was only for people who can afford it. The Minister of Finance Sri Mulyani Indrawati emphasized that the government continues to accelerate vaccination to achieve herd immunity in order to reduce the rate of spread of COVID-19. Until June 2021, the government managed to inject 1 million doses of vaccine per day. In order to accelerate the vaccination next year through bilateral and multilateral cooperation, the government will maintain the availability of vaccines, both those financed by the state budget and independent vaccines that have already begun to be carried out. The independent vaccine, according to Finance Minister, is intended for people who can afford it.
Program vaksin akan menjadi fokus pemerintah melalui berbagai upaya akselerasi untuk mewujudkan kekebalan komunal atau herd immunity. Upaya percepatan vaksinasi dilakukan melalui pelaksanaan program vaksinasi yang dibiayai APBN. Juga untuk tahun depan ada skema vaksinasi mandiri pada kelompok masyarakat yang mampu.
Sri Mulyani said that in addition to vaccination, the government will continue to encourage discipline in health protocols and will reform the health system to improve health services to remote areas. From Jakarta, Bursa for IDX Channel. The Ministry of Industry continues to boost essential industries to tighten the application of health protocols in industrial areas. This was done after the government allowed essential industries to operate at 100% capacity. During his visit to several industrial areas, the Minister of Industry Agustus directly monitored the implementation of health protocols in the essential industrial sector. This is in accordance with the Minister of Home Affairs Instruction number 34 of 2021 concerning the implementation of restrictions on community activities from level 4 to level 2 in the Java-Bali region. Moreover, based on the regulation on the extension of PPKM until August 30th, the government allows export-oriented and domestic companies to operate with 100% capacity. For this reason, it is hoped that industry players will tighten facilities and procedures in handling COVID-19 in accordance with Ministry of Industry regulations through a circular letter from the Minister of Industry regarding permits to do business during the COVID-19 health emergency. The Minister of Industry also ensures that the government will continue to monitor and evaluate during the implementation of 100% of industrial operations. This is done to ensure increased utilization and productivity so as to spur contribution to national economic growth. From Jakarta, Ade Firmansyah for IDX Channel. Bank Indonesia is ready to help the government anticipate the need for state budget financing by continuing the burden sharing scheme. The Governor of Bank Indonesia ensures that all financing through the purchase of state securities in the primary market or private placement follows the 3-month reverse repo interest rate of Bank Indonesia. Bank Indonesia has confirmed that it has pushed for an agreement on the burden sharing scheme to help finance the state budget until next year. In the agreement, the amount of state securities issued is 215 trillion rupiah in 2021 and 224 trillion rupiah in 2022. The Governor of Bank Indonesia ensures that Bank Indonesia's participation is in the form of a contribution to all interest costs for financing vaccinations and healthcare with a maximum limit of 58 trillion rupiah in 2021 and 40 trillion in 2022. Bank Indonesia Governor Peri Warjo explained that central bank steps were taken to reduce the burden on the government in debt issuance.
Tanpa mengurangi kemampuan Bank Indonesia, itu kami bisa gunakan untuk sebagai instrumen moneter dan cukup kalau melalui private placement membayar reverse repo 3 bulan. Yang untuk tahun ini rata-ratanya adalah 3,39%. Inilah tolong dipikirkan. Itulah spirit yang kedua sehingga beban negara itu lebih kecil, kemampuan menangani kesehatan masih terus bisa dilakukan dan juga tidak harus merelokasi terus-terusan.
This joint decree also stipulates provisions regarding flexibility, whereby the number of purchases and the number of issuances of state securities can be changed according to the financing needs of the healthcare budget and Bank Indonesia's financial condition. From Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo for IDX Channel. And we're moving on to global update. G7 has agreed to a plan to deal with the Taliban with their number one condition, being that the group must allow safe passage to Afghans wanting to leave the country. Meanwhile, TikTok users will soon be able to buy stuff directly through the short videos on the app, something they had only been able to do through ads. And more stories on today's International Minute. The U.S. Congress has approved a $3.5 trillion budget blueprint, setting the stage for Democrats to enact President Joe Biden's ambitious economic agenda. The rule that passed on Tuesday allows Democrats, who narrowly control both chambers, to move ahead with key policy proposals. Biden's party hopes to devote significant resources to family support, health and climate schemes. TikTok users will soon be able to buy stuff directly through the short videos on the app, something they had only been able to do through ads until now. Canadian e-commerce company Shopify said Tuesday that businesses will be able to add a shopping tab to their TikTok profiles to create a mini storefront that links directly to their online store for checkout. The shopping tool is still being tested. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said the G7 has agreed to a plan to deal with the Taliban with their number one condition being that the group must allow safe passage to Afghans wanting to leave the country even after an August 31 deadline. Johnson said the huge leverage which the G7 could wield over the Taliban after it seized control of the country about a week ago. South Africa's unemployment rate surged to the highest on the global list of 82 countries monitored by Bloomberg. The jobless rate rose to 34.4% in the second quarter, from 32.6% in the 3 months through March. Statistics South Africa said in a report released in the capital, Pretoria. The median of 3 economists' estimates in a Bloomberg survey was 33.29. IDX Channel reports. Market headlines will be right back after this quick break. Stay tuned.
Ingin menjalani kehidupan yang mapan dan masa depan yang sejahtera? Sikapi uang dengan bijak. Mulailah berinvestasi di pasar modal. Dengan membeli saham melalui Bursa Efek maupun perusahaan sekuritas, Anda dapat menikmati hasil keuntungan dari perusahaan-perusahaan besar yang tersedia. Pastikan Anda berinvestasi di perusahaan yang memiliki izin resmi, cerdas mengelola, masa depan sejahtera. Otoritas Jasa Keuangan, lembaga pengawas industri jasa keuangan yang terpercaya.
Presiden Joko Widodo tidak ingin lagi mendengar ada kasus suap dalam pengurusan perizinan.
Saya tidak mau lagi mendengar ada kesulitan yang dihadapi para pengusaha. Saya tidak mau lagi mendengar ada suap.
Aku akan tunjukkan untuk kalian semua, aku nggak perlu membalas, tapi you see me, let's see, you see me, let's see, you can see me soon, but I'm doing.
Nah, sejauh ini kritikan terpedas yang pernah diterima apa, Kak?
Kayak gini, aku pernah gini, narimu jelek, gak bagus, apa sih, kamu jadi penari kayak begitu, aku udah pernah yang kayak gitu.
Awali hari Anda dengan beragam informasi bisnis terkini yang kami kemas dalam berita teraktual dan berkualitas. News Screen Morning menyajikan informasi ekonomi, bisnis, dan keuangan. News Screen Evening mengulas seputar ekonomi makro dan mikro, fiskal, moneter, dan sektorial Indonesia. Market Headline menayangkan berita ekonomi dan bisnis dalam bahasa Inggris. Saksikan program-program berita ekonomi dan bisnis terkini langsung dari sumbernya, live hanya di IDX Channel. Your Trustworthy Economic, Business, and Capital Market Channel.
Welcome back on Market Headlines. In accordance with President Joko Widodo's directives, the Ministry of Health has set the highest price for the COVID-19 PCR examination at 495,000 rupiah for Java and Bali and 525,000 for outside Java and Bali regions. The Ministry of the highest price for the COVID-19 real-time polymerase chain reaction or PCR examination of 495,000 rupiah for Java and Bali and 525,000 rupiah for outside Java and Bali regions. The tariff is determined through a circular letter of the Director General of Health Services concerning the highest tariff limit for polymerase chain reaction examination. Director General of Health Services Abdul Qadir said the evaluation was carried out together with the Financial and Development Supervisory Agency through calculating the cost of taking and examining RT-PCR or swab test, consisting of components in the form of services, reagents and consumables, administrative cost, overhead and other components adjusted to current conditions. Thus, the PCR test rate limit, which had previously been set through the circular of the Director General of Health Services dated October 5, 2020, is declared no longer valid. IDX Channel reports. Yes, prices for PCR swab tests are being discussed by the public. The reason is that India has lowered the price of PCR tests to become the cheapest in the world. So what about the PCR test rates in Indonesia? Let's check the answer in the following infographics, and let's move to the first graphic. So we can see the PCR swab test tariff, the government's decision on maximum tariff of PCR tests before tariff cuts at 750,000 rupiah up to 900,000 rupiah. And after the government cuts the tariff for Java Bali regions is 495,000 rupiah, and outside Java and Bali regions 525,000 rupiah. The price of the PCR test has decreased by 45% from the previous price. Thus, the PCR test rate limit, which had previously been set through the circular of the Director General of Health Services on October 2020, is declared no longer valid. The Ministry of Health stated that the highest tariff limit does not apply to contact tracing activities or referrals for COVID-19 cases to hospitals whose operations receive PCR examination assistance from the government or are part of the COVID-19 patient financing guarantee. Regarding the reduction in test rates, what is the real reason behind this decision? Let's move on to the next graphic to see the reasons. So the reasons for cutting PCR test rates, the government stated that the first reason is the price of reagents and medical consumables has gone down as one of the components of each PCR test rates. And the second reason is to encourage people to carry out self-testing for COVID-19. As we know, if the price is quite expensive, people intend to not do the self-testing for COVID-19. The Financial and Development Supervisory Agency, or BPKP, revealed that BPKP was asked for assistance in evaluating the maximum tariff limit for the PCR test because there was a decrease in the price of several components, so that the regulation regarding the highest reference price needed to be adjusted. Even though it has been reduced, a number of hospitals and clinics in Jakarta still apply PCR rates that are higher than the upper limit rates set by the government. Some of the reasons include the cost of consulting a doctor, as well as the speed with which the results are issued. Whereas the Ministry of Health emphasized that clinics and hospitals are prohibited from charging additional fees for any reason. But yes, conditions in the field are often not as expected, right? And talking about the COVID-19 test, how high is the daily testing rate in Indonesia? The data is in the next graphic. Let's see the data. So we can see from the last 7 days, from 11 August 2021, the COVID-19 daily test in Indonesia is 135.5 thousand tests. And then on the next day, 136.3 thousand daily tests in Indonesia. And we moved to the 16 August 2021, well, the testing was quite low at 78.4 thousand and 78.6 thousand on 18 August 2021. And spokespersons for the COVID-19 vaccination of the Ministry of Health, Siti Nadia Tarmizi, admitted that the number of testing and tracing of close contacts of COVID-19 cases was still far from the target. Nadia said each province has a testing target that must be achieved, so that the number of testing should be increased. In addition, the ministry is integrating all COVID-19 examination laboratories in Indonesia in the new all-record or NAR system. This is because some people who have tested for COVID-19 in private laboratories are not known to be confirmed positive or not, because the data is not included in the NAR system of the Ministry of Health. This is, of course, an obstacle that must be overcome. And regarding the lowering of the PCR test rate, is the tariff in Indonesia affordable enough? Let's compare it with several other Southeast Asian countries in the next graphic. So PCR test rates in Southeast Asian countries, in Thailand, is around 1.3 rupiah, and then Singapore 1.6 million rupiah, Malaysia 510,000 rupiah, Philippines 437,000 up to 1.5 million rupiah, while in Vietnam it's around 460,000 rupiah. So UK-based aviation services consulting agency Skytrax compares the prices of PCR tests in 70 countries around the world. Skytrax noted that there was a difference of the $395 or around 5.07 million rupiah between the most expensive and the cheapest PCR prices in various countries in the world. The agency also reported that Kansai International Airport in Japan is the airport with the most expensive PCR test price in the world, which is around $404 or 4.82 million rupiah. Meanwhile, Mumbai Airport is the airport with the cheapest PCR test price, which is only 115,000 rupiah. And of course, the government must not only cut the PCR test rates, but also try to break the chain of COVID-19 transmission as much as possible and ensure that the vaccination program runs according to the target. And stay tuned on Market Headlines. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Tidak ada sesuatu yang tidak mungkin. Tapi di situ kita harus disiplin, konsen, punya prinsip, dan jangan pernah males. Males itu hal yang paling.
Ya halo pemirsa, nama saya Mangivera Tjong. Saat ini saya menjabat sebagai presenter dan juga associate producer. Saat ini saya membawakan program IDX Conversation Closing, di mana di program tersebut saya menganalisa isu-isu ekonomi yang menarik, baik dari luar negeri maupun juga dari dalam negeri. Tentunya hingga saat ini saya masih terus belajar dan saya sangat menikmati profesi tersebut.
Target kita di kuartal kedua atas 7%.
Ingin menjalani kehidupan yang mapan dan masa depan yang sejahtera? Sikapi uang dengan bijak. Mulailah berinvestasi di pasar modal. Dengan membeli saham melalui Bursa Efek maupun perusahaan sekuritas, Anda dapat menikmati hasil keuntungan dari perusahaan-perusahaan besar yang tersedia. Pastikan Anda berinvestasi di perusahaan yang memiliki izin resmi, cerdas mengelola, masa depan sejahtera. Otoritas Jasa Keuangan, lembaga pengawas industri jasa keuangan yang terpercaya.
Welcome back on Market Headline. At the Jakarta Composite Index Intraday Movement, earlier today, JCI was open at the level of 6,109.38. And then approaching the closing time on the first session, the index was on the level of 6,103.92. And then the index was showing strengthening trend by the second session closing time. Index was closed at the level of 6,133.24. In short, JCI went up 0.39%. And next, we're going to see the sectoral movement leading the dynamics of today's trading. We got health as the leader of strengthening trend that went up 1.4%. Industry went up 1.13%. Transportation and logistic went down 0.18%. And cyclical went down 0.17%. Moving on to top gainers and top losers. Here are the key highlights from today's trading session. Arto went up 1.85% to the level of 16,500 rupiah per share. Fren went up 4.62% to the level of 136 rupiah per share. BNBA went up 6.62% to the level of 1,610 rupiah per share, and BEBS went up 18.92% to the level of 880 rupiah per share. Meantime, the top losers for today's trading, we got Bacha went up 5.66% to the level of 500 rupiah per share. BBKP went down 3.6% to the level of 535 rupiah per share. NICL went down 6.58% to the level of 142 rupiah per share. And Telkom went down 0.88% to the level of 3,370 rupiah. And next, we're going to see the intraday movement of rupiah towards US dollar. Open at the level of 14,400. Rupiah was also showing weakening trend towards US dollar and was closed at the level of 14,400. In summary, rupiah went down 0.24%. Tower Bersama Infrastructure plans to issue bonds of $900 million. The issuance will be made in several times within 12 months after the approval of the extraordinary general meeting of shareholders on September 2021.
Tower Bersama Infrastructure plans to issue bonds of $900 million. The issuance will be made in several times within 12 months after the approval of the extraordinary general meeting of shareholders on September 2021. The funds obtained from the issuance will be used for settlements of subsidiaries' debts that have been due. The fresh fund is expected to deliver a better efficiency and liquidity because the funds will also be used to finance the future expansions plan. Some of the business plans to be implemented, including network planning, land acquisitions, network expansion, and the implementation program. Not only that, the company will also do network installations and project management for telecommunication tower. IDX Channel report.
Coal issuer Golden Eagle Energy recorded positive performance in the first semester of this year. Sales grew double by 181 billion rupiah with a profit of 46 billion rupiah. This increase in sales cannot be separated from domestic sales, which also increased than exports. Since the end of last year, the company in Sumatra successfully penetrated to the end-user market, especially in steam power plant and cement factories. Therefore, sales until June 2021 doubled, achieved more than 750,000 tons, or increased 3% over the previous year. Meanwhile, in the previous year, the company's sales are strongly affected by the pandemic, and prices have sharply declined. For this year, the company will continue to increase production to approach 2 million tons due to limited domestic coal supply and the trend of increasing coal prices. Mustika Ratu reported higher profit in the first half of 2021. The company's profit grew by 55.28% year-on-year.
Mustika Ratu reported higher profit in the first half of 2021. The company's profit grew by 55.29% year-on-year. Increase in net sales, supported by sales of personal care products, cosmetics, health products, and beverages segment. Net sales in the first semester reached 176.32 billion rupiah. The amount has increased by 23.22% compared to the same period last year. Meantime, the company has cooperated with Sinarmas Distribusi Nusantara in July 2021 to optimize sales on herbs and health products. Through these partnerships, the company is optimistic that prospects in the health and herbs business segment can increase this year. IDX Channel report.
And step aside from market condition as coronavirus pandemic takes big role on current economic situation. Here it is an update data about coronavirus globally. And the news close our market headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, Your Trustworthy Economic, Business and Capital Market Channel. And as the COVID-19 pandemic is still going on, keep protecting your family by following the health protocols, wearing face masks, keep your distance and stay away from crowds, wash your hands through running water, and also continue to support the vaccination program to accelerate the creation of herd immunity. I'm Fajar Wayong. Have a nice evening and stay safe.
Yes, I can.
Fer, oi, lu bawa apaan tuh?